Xianlai peaked the summit. Qingyun, I heard you failed your breakthrough again. Shizuan's voice carried on the mountain breeze, tinged with a hint of regret. Hearing this, my face filled with shame. Yes, your disciple is dull-witted and has disappointed Shizuan. Sigh, Qingyun, it has been 10 years since you entered my sect. In these 10 years, I have taught you everything I know without reservation. Why is this foundation establishment stage so difficult for you? Shizuan sighed. Her picturesque features furrowed slightly, making one's heart ache for her. However, I quickly lowered my head, not daring to steal a second glance. Your disciple does not know either. Perhaps I'm simply not suited for cultivation. Not suited for cultivation? Shizuan stepped forward, her finger gently tilting at my chin. Though your talent isn't peak, it's far superior to ordinary people. It shouldn't be like this. Very well. I have one more foundation establishment pill here. You shall attempt your breakthrough right here. I will personally protect your path and help you charge into the foundation establishment stage. I want to see exactly where the problem lies. Hearing these considerate words, any ordinary disciple would have been moved to tears of gratitude. But at this moment, my body was stiff and my brain was trembling. Because inside the foundation establishment pill Shizuan held out to me, a hideous insect egg lay silently. That's right, an insect egg. This was not a normal world of immortal cultivation, but a world of eldritch cultivation. And I, because I had accidentally awakened the true eye of breaking delusion during my transmigration, and I, capable of seeing through disguises, had understood the true nature of this cultivation world. That why I had intentionally failed my breakthroughs time and again, hoping to escape Shizuan's control. Who would have thought that after failing the foundation establishment breakthrough 9 times in a row, Shizuan still hadn't given up? Having a master who loves me so much, I truly didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Cold sweat trickled down my temples. I opened my mouth, attempting to refuse. But Shizuan seemed to have seen through my thoughts, her voice taking on a hint of coldness. What? Are you unwilling? No, your disciple is. Moved to tears of gratitude, I waved my hands frantically. It's just, I'm afraid of failing again and disappointing Shizuan's high expectations. With me here, you will not fail. Shizuan's tone left no room for doubt. Unless, in your heart, you don't want to succeed at all. At those words, my heart turned completely cold. However, just as I reached out with a trembling hand to take the pill, a sudden flurry of hurried footsteps rang out. A figure stumbled onto the summit first, his voice choked with tears. Shizuan, you must seek justice for your disciple. I looked closely. It was none other than the newly admitted junior brother, Lin Qing. His eyes were red-rimmed now, tears still streaking his face, looking as if he'd been grievously wronged. Close behind him were several junior brothers and sisters. Qinger, what has flustered you so? The master's tones softened a little. She had always doted on this exceptionally gifted young disciple. Master! Lin Qing looked up, eyes brimming with tears as he pointed at me. Senior brother stole my foundation establishment pill. At his words, I froze. Ever since the junior brother joined the sect, all the juniors had flocked around him. Even the master favored him. I possessed the true eye of discernment, so I naturally knew it was because his constitution was special, a great tonic for the sect's disciples and the master. Worried he'd be drained dry too soon, I'd even quietly warned him a couple of times in private. Who would have thought he'd falsely accuse me of stealing his pill today? Lin Qing continued sobbing. That foundation establishment pill was given to me by a second senior sister for my future foundation establishment. I've kept it close to my body all this time, treating it as my life. But today I found the pill was gone. After searching everywhere, I only found the empty jade bottle that held it in the grass outside senior brother's room. As he spoke, he pulled a delicate small jade bottle from his bosom and held it up with both hands before the master. A few blades of grass still clung to the bottle, Its mouth was open, and it was empty inside. The master took the bottle, sniffed it gently at her nose, then turned her gaze to me, her eyes growing deep and unreadable. Qingyun, what do you have to say for yourself? Explain? Wild joy surged in my heart. This charge of stealing the pill was nothing less than a heaven-sent savior to help me escape my predicament. Why would I explain? Though I could barely hold back a laugh, I quickly put on a flustered, panicked expression. Master, senior brother, don't quibble. Second junior sister cut me off sharply, accusingly. You're the one who stole it. Junior brother is so kind. Would he falsely accuse you? My face turned deathly pale. I shook my head weakly. The master's brows furrowed slightly. Qingyun, tell me, did you steal the pill or not? I clenched my fists tightly, my nails digging into my palms. After that, no matter what second junior sister said or how the master questioned me, I stood rooted to the spot, gritting my teeth and holding my breath, looking exactly like a guilty man. Seeing me like this, the master's face darkened completely. Very well, Su Qingyun. For shame, being the sect's senior brother, yet doing such a dirty thing as stealing a fellow disciple's pill. I sentence you to 3 months of confinement on Reflection Cliff, to take effect today. As for this Foundation establishment pill, it will be replenished for your junior brother. And master, my voice choked, my expression one of utter disbelief. Thank you, master. The junior brother quickly took the jade bottle, exchanging an extremely subtle glance with me. There were no tears in his eyes at all, only smugness and provocation, brimming to the top. I kept my head down and said nothing, stealing a glance at his wrist. There, the master's long, knuckle-defined fingers had somehow turned into slender, flesh-pink tentacles, greedily licking the junior brother's tender skin. The junior brother followed my gaze to the pill in his hand, but by then the master's fingers had already returned to normal. Though he felt a sticky sensation on his hand and vaguely sensed something was wrong, he couldn't put his finger on what was off. In the end, he could only attribute it to the tears he'd wiped away earlier. Enough. Qingyun, step back. Qing'er, stay. Yes. At his words, I stumbled back to the stairs with a lost look, my head hanging as I walked down the mountain. I started with slow steps on the stairs, then broke into a jog at the foot of the mountain. It was as if 1,000-pound juggle had been lifted. My feet grew lighter and lighter. Once I entered Sigwa Cliff, the pain on my face vanished completely, and I finally couldn't hold back a laugh. I never expected I'd be abandoned by the master in such a way, gaining total freedom. Junior brother, since you deliberately framed me to be the favorite in this Geed sect, then enjoy it to your heart's content. Though I'd escaped the master's grip, I didn't let my guard down entirely. In this bizarre world, cultivating immortality leads to twisted assimilation, but not cultivating dooms you to become Di food. Now that I've escaped assimilation, I still need to find a way to survive in this den of devils. This is where my true eyes of illusion breaking, brought with me when I transmigrated, come into play. Sigwa Cliff is the forbidden ground where the sect punishes erring disciples. Countless cultivators turn pale at the mention of it. A place that frightens the cultivators must hold power that threatens the bee. I wanted to explore it many times before, but the master kept me under strict watch, making it impossible. Now that his attention is all on the junior brother, I can finally try to uncover the cliff's secrets. For 3 months, I observed Sigwa Cliff day and night, and finally found a legacy at its bottom. This legacy dates back to an era long ago, when the righteous path was in decline, but not yet completely collapsed. Its core is to forge a living object so realistic it's indistinguishable from the real thing. Inject one's inner feet into it, and then have a great cultivator sever the link between the object and the shu. Only then can one attain an untainted true body. It's a pity that as the BE forces grew, the great righteous cultivators fell one after another. By the end, there was unexpectedly no one left who could step forward to assist the younger generation in practicing their techniques. Seeing this, my thoughts raced, and an idea began to take shape. Once the 3-month punishment period concluded, I no longer deliberately failed and successfully broke through to the foundation building stage. Masters simply assumed I was a late bloomer who had finally realized my potential. She temporarily dismissed the idea of turning me into food, but she didn't pay me much more attention beyond that. Junior brother, however, took the initiative to seek me out. In just 3 short months, the exceptionally gifted junior brother had also successfully reached the foundation building stage. Yet, despite his successful breakthrough, there was little joy on his face. Thick, dark circles hung beneath his eyes. He rushed forward suddenly and gripped my hand with a death grip, his eyes brimming with terror. Eldest senior brother, you know, don't you? Master isn't right. Last night, I think I saw her, Before he could finish, junior brother collapsed to his knees and began to vomit violently. Through my true eye of reality, I saw a parasite churning within his stomach. This was likely a restriction placed by Master. It seemed that during the 3 months I was away, Master had been having quite a lot of fun. Even junior brother, who lacked the true eye, had sensed something was wrong. I laughed inwardly, but my outward expression was one of feigned panic. Junior brother, you have clearly gained Master's favor. What are you trying to achieve now by faking an illness? I'm warning you. I have a recording stone in my hand. Don't even think about framing me this time. With that, I turned and walked away. His face contorted in pain. Junior brother raised a hand, as if to stop me. No, it's not. However, in the next moment, Master's figure appeared abruptly, pulling junior brother into her embrace. Her emotionless eyes stared fixedly at him. Junior, why are you running around again? Junior brother was thrown into a panic, eventually managing only to squeeze out a forced smile. Master, your disciple has a bit of a stomach ache. Why go to your senior brother for a stomach ache? In a place where junior brother couldn't see, Master's fingers elongated, transforming into tentacles that slithered into his body through his navel, writhing slowly. Come to Master next time, understood? Junior brother's eyes were half closed, and he nodded dizzily. Yes. In the days that followed, I not only devoted myself entirely to my cultivation, but also spent day and night nourishing my life-bound spirit sword with my own blood. Finally, 2 years later, my cultivation broke through to the golden core stage. My life-bound spirit sword also successfully birthed a sword spirit. On the day the sword spirit was born, the cry of the blade resounded through the highest heavens. After a long absence, I was finally summoned by Master. When I arrived at the sect's great hall, Master's gaze fell upon me, and she nodded with satisfaction. I'm truly gratified that you were able to build up your potential and break through to the golden core. I said respectfully, it is all thanks to Master's guidance. This disciple is unworthy of such praise. There is no need for modesty, Master said, waving a hand before offering a few more words of advice. I nodded in agreement to everything, my gaze landing on the little junior brother standing beside her. At this moment, little junior brother also wore a smile, but it looked forced no matter how one viewed it. As he looked at the sword spirit by my side, he seemed to think of something, and a glimmer of hope flashed in his eyes. In the days that followed, little junior brother would visit my cave dwelling from time to time. He even took the initiative to help care for my sword spirit while I was in seclusion, gifting it many rare ores. The relationship between the man and the sword grew closer, but I simply pretended not to notice. Until the sect's grand competition shortly after, when little junior brother suddenly spoke up. Eldest senior brother, I feel as if I am about to touch the threshold of the golden core realm. Why don't you give me some pointers during today's competition? I readily agreed, unsheathed my sword, and stepped onto the arena stage. Little junior brother also drew his sword and took a starting stance. Please grant me your guidance. Eldest senior brother, begin. As soon as the words left my mouth, little junior brother was the first to strike. The sword light flashed like lightning, thrusting straight toward my chest. I sidestepped to avoid it, raising my sword to parry the momentum. Amidst the clanging of metal on metal, dozens of moves passed in an instant. Little Junior Brother's swordsmanship was indeed unrefined. Every move prioritized flashiness over substance, leaving him riddled with openings. I countered his every move, neutralizing his offensive one by one. Just as I was about to parry yet another thrust, Little Junior Brother's legs suddenly went weak, and he lunged straight toward the edge of my blade. Seeing that it was about to harm him, my natal spirit's sword panicked and tried to break free from my control to avoid him. Having anticipated this, I immediately feigned a state of flustered confusion, conveniently yanking the sword in the opposite direction just as it tried to move away. With a sharp squelch, the blade plunged straight into Little Junior Brother's waist. Blood stained his robes red. Little Junior Brother opened his mouth, his eyes filled with utter disbelief. This wasn't supposed to happen. According to his plan, the sword spirit should have actively avoided him, resulting in nothing more than a minor scratch. How did this strike pierce right through him? Eldest senior brother, what are you doing? Second junior sister was the first to react, rushing onto the stage with a scream to support Little Junior Brother. The rest of the junior brothers and sisters also fell into a panic, shouting their rebukes one after another. Little Junior Brother was only asking for guidance on sword techniques. How could you be so heavy-handed? Exactly. This is too much. Master, please uphold justice for him. Hearing these words, my face turned deathly pale. Fumbling, I threw my life-bound spirit sword to the ground and looked at Master on the stage with a panicked expression. Master, you have to believe me. I didn't mean to hurt Little Junior Brother. It was the spirit sword. It suddenly stopped following my commands, and that's why it accidentally injured him. However, before I could finish, my sword spirit emerged and snapped in a fit of rage. Su Qingyun, it was clearly you who intentionally tried to harm Little Junior Brother, and now you're pushing the blame onto me? That's not true. Seeing Little Junior Brother injured and me arguing with my own life-bound spirit sword, the expression on Master's face as she sat on the stage became terrifyingly dark, and a powerful, oppressive pressure swept toward me. Enough! All of you shut up. Su Qingyun, I originally thought you had turned over a new leaf. I didn't expect you to still be so narrow-minded. At those words, I felt as if I'd been struck by lightning, freezing in place. No, Master, that's exactly how it is, the sword spirit interrupted, accusing me viciously. Su Qingyun is just jealous that Little Junior Brother is more favored than him, so he hurt him on purpose. As a sword spirit, I am ashamed to be associated with such a master. Little Junior Brother was only asking for guidance on sword techniques. How could you be so heavy-handed? Exactly. This is too much. Master, please uphold justice for him. Hearing these words, my face turned deathly pale. Fumbling, I threw my life-bound spirit sword to the ground and looked at Master on the stage with a panicked expression. Master, you have to believe me. I didn't mean to hurt Little Junior Brother. It was the spirit sword. It suddenly stopped following my commands, and that's why it accidentally injured him. However, before I could finish, my sword spirit emerged and snapped in a fit of rage. Su Qingyun, it was clearly you who intentionally tried to harm Little Junior Brother, and now you're pushing the blame onto me? That's not true. Seeing Little Junior Brother injured and me arguing with my own life-bound spirit sword, the expression on Master's face as she sat on the stage became terrifyingly dark, and a powerful, oppressive pressure swept toward me. Enough! All of you shut up. Su Qingyun, I originally thought you had turned over a new leaf. I didn't expect you to still be so narrow-minded. At those words, I felt as if I'd been struck by lightning, freezing in place. No, Master, that's exactly how it is, the sword spirit interrupted, accusing me viciously. Su Qingyun is just jealous that Little Junior Brother is more favored than him, so he hurt him on purpose. As a sword spirit, I am ashamed to be associated with such a master. Master, please judge for yourself. Little Junior Brother is kind-hearted and highly talented. I am willing to sever my ties with Su Qingyun and acknowledge little junior brother as my master. The entire crowd was shocked. No one expected that my life-bound spirit sword would betray its master so without hesitation. Although it was somewhat unexpected, seeing that his goal had been achieved, little junior brother clutched his wound and gritted his teeth, his voice trembling. Sword spirit, please don't let a rift form between you and eldest senior brother because of this. It was my fault this time. Ching, no need to say more, Master shouted coldly, interrupting him. A spirit sword has a soul and will choose its own master. Since it has chosen you, then accept it. With a wave of her sleeve, I instantly felt the connection between the spirit's sword and my body being forcibly severed. A sweet taste filled my throat, and blood overflowed from the corner of my mouth. Su Qingyun, you are narrow-minded and have harmed your fellow disciple. From this day forward, your position as eldest senior brother is revoked. Go to the back mountain to guard the herb garden. Without my permission, you are not to step a single foot out of the garden. My mouth hung open, my eyes full of disbelief, as if questioning whether I had misheard. Little junior brother was only asking for guidance on sword techniques. How could you be so heavy-handed? Exactly. This is too much. Master, please uphold justice for him. Hearing these words, my face turned deathly pale. Fumbling, I threw my life-bound spirit sword to the ground and looked at Master on the stage with a panicked expression. Master, you have to believe me. I didn't mean to hurt little junior brother. It was the spirit sword. It suddenly stopped following my commands, and that's why it accidentally injured him. However, before I could finish, my sword spirit emerged and snapped in a fit of rage. Su Qingyun, it was clearly you who intentionally tried to harm little junior brother, and now you're pushing the blame onto me? That's not true. Seeing little junior brother injured and me arguing with my own life-bound spirit sword, the expression on Master's face as she sat on the stage became terrifyingly dark, and a powerful, oppressive pressure swept toward me. Enough! All of you shut up. Su Qingyun, I originally thought you had turned over a new leaf. I didn't expect you to still be so narrow-minded. At those words, I felt as if I'd been struck by lightning, freezing in place. No, Master, that's exactly how it is, the sword spirit interrupted, accusing me viciously. Su Qingyun is just jealous that little junior brother is more favored than him, so he hurt him on purpose. As a sword spirit, I am ashamed to be associated with such a master. Master, please judge for yourself. Little junior brother is kind-hearted and highly talented. I am willing to sever my ties with Su Qingyun and acknowledge little junior brother as my master. The entire crowd was shocked. No one expected that my life-bound spirit sword would betray its master so without hesitation. Although it was somewhat unexpected, seeing that his goal had been achieved, little junior brother clutched his wound and gritted his teeth, his voice trembling. Sword spirit, please don't let a rift form between you and eldest senior brother because of this. It was my fault this time. Ching, no need to say more, Master shouted coldly, interrupting him. A spirit sword has a soul and will choose its own master. Since it has chosen you, then accept it. With a wave of her sleeve, I instantly felt the connection between the spirit's sword and my body being forcibly severed. A sweet taste filled my throat, and blood overflowed from the corner of my mouth. Su Qingyun, you are narrow-minded and have harmed your fellow disciple. From this day forward, your position as eldest senior brother is revoked. Go to the back mountain to guard the herb garden. Without my permission, you are not to step a single foot out of the garden. My mouth hung open, my eyes full of disbelief, as if questioning whether I had misheard. After a long while, I finally stood up and walked toward the door, looking completely despondent. Before I left the martial arena for good, I cast a final glance back. My junior brother was clutching the spirit sword, his face radiant with joy. Watching the eldritch abomination residing within the sword successfully burrow into his body, a smile curled on my lips as well. The immaculate true body, it was done. Shortly after, at the back mountain herb garden, I arrived with my belongings and began to cultivate with single-minded focus. Having achieved the immaculate true body, I no longer needed a powerhouse of master's level to assist me. I could expel the abominations born during cultivation on my own. The herbs planted in the garden were all contaminated. Using the expelled abominations to nourish them yielded twice the result with half the effort. Aside from the fixed monthly quota I had to hand over, I secretly refined all the surplus spirit herbs. Since the spiritual energy I cultivated was no longer being devoured by those abominations, my strength grew at a staggering speed. In just 1 year, I broke through several ranks to reach the deity transformation stage. During this time, my junior brother's strength also advanced by leaps and bounds. With the help of the sword spirit, he successfully broke through to the golden core stage. On the night of his breakthrough, the entire sect held a grand celebration. But deep into the night, my junior brother stealthily crept to my herb cottage and knocked on the door. When I opened it, I barely recognized him. Compared to his time in the foundation establishment stage, his complexion had turned from fair to a deathly, sickly pale, making him look even more fragile. The veins on his neck were unnaturally prominent, looking like the dark bruises left behind by a noose. He didn't look like a young genius cultivator at all. Upon seeing me, tears immediately began to stream down his face. Eldest senior brother, save me, there's something wrong with that sword. At night, while I'm not looking, it drains my essence and blood. It's even trying to fuse into my body. Senior brother, you warned me before. You must know something, right? Please help me. Take it back. I don't want it anymore. I really don't want it. I braced my hand against the door to block his way, speaking coldly. Junior brother, what is the meaning of this? Don't think I don't know. You deliberately threw yourself into the path of my blade back then on the arena. When Master gave you the sword, weren't you smiling quite happily? What's all this about draining essence and fusing together? Are you just trying to frame me again by claiming I'm trying to steal the sword back? No, senior brother, I'm not. He was completely frantic now. I really know I was wrong. This sword is evil. It's really going to kill me. Take it back. I beg you, you must have a way. You got what you wanted. Now stop acting like the victim. I interrupted him, shouting, "Get out!" After my outburst, I slammed the door shut with a bang. Junior brother gripped the wooden door so tightly his fingernails split. Senior brother, open the door. You can't just watch me die. Open the door. Right then, a crisp, laughing voice rang out behind him. Master, what are you doing here? Junior brother froze completely. He slowly turned his head. Without him noticing, the sword spirit had appeared behind him. She tilted her head, an innocent smile on her face, looking exceptionally beautiful. But Junior brother's throat seemed to have gone dry. He couldn't utter a single word. I, didn't you say you were going to the back mountain to sober up? The sword spirit took a step forward and rested her hand on his shoulder. Why did you come to the herb garden? And why are you knocking on senior brother's door? Junior brother shuddered violently, his words coming out in a jumble. I just thought that since I finally made a breakthrough, I should come and greet senior brother. Just to say hello? The sword spirit chuckled. Master, you are far too kind. Senior brother has tried to harm you so many times, yet you still think of him. Yeah. Drenched in a cold sweat, Junior brother turned around, trying to pull her away. Linger, let's go. See? Senior brother is ignoring me completely. I was just being sentimental. The sword spirit moved, but she didn't follow him. She grabbed his hand and dragged him in the opposite direction, toward the pond beside the herb garden. A sense of dread washed over him. Linger, what are you doing? What am I doing? The sword spirit gave a playful giggle and shoved him into the pond. With a cry of alarm, Junior brother fell into the water, sending a high spray into the air. The biting cold water made him shiver uncontrollably. He thrashed around, swallowing several mouthfuls of water. Just as he tried to surface, the sword spirit pushed him back under. After several repetitions, he was choking violently. His hair clung to his deathly pale face, and his consciousness began to fade. Looking at the sword spirit on the bank, tears streamed down his face. Linger, I was wrong. I'm sorry. Please, spare me. Please. The sword spirit crouched by the pond, resting her chin in her hand, watching him with a beaming smile. This time it's the pond, she said, counting on her fingers. Next time you dare come looking for him, I'll push you off the cliff at the back of the mountain. If people find you injured, do you think they'll believe your sword spirit turned on her master, or that senior brother was jealous and tried to kill you? Hearing this, junior brother froze in place. The sword spirit's move was truly ruthless. Whenever he tried to get closer to his eldest senior brother to mend their relationship, the sword spirit would immediately frame him, causing his efforts to go up in smoke. Even if he took the initiative to explain that it wasn't the eldest senior brother who had harmed him, his fellow disciples would only assume he was being too kind-hearted. If he didn't get close to his eldest senior brother, he would never be able to repair the relationship or send the sword spirit away. Realizing he was trapped in a double bind, the little junior brother's heart turned cold. He crawled onto the shore and followed the sword spirit back like a drowned rat. After the incident with the sword spirit, the little junior brother seemed to give up entirely. He let himself go, abandoning his cultivation to indulge in a life of debauchery. The sect's disciples spent all their time revolving around him, leaving the master with no one to handle her affairs. Out of options, she finally released me from the medicinal garden and sent me away from the sect to handle various matters. I had already been worried that the sect's resources wouldn't be enough for my cultivation after breaking through to the soul transformation stage, so the master's assignment came at the perfect time. Once I left the sect, I was like a dragon returning to the sea, freely exploring the outside world. Relying on the powerful observation skills provided by my delusion-breaking eye, I gathered a massive amount of resources in a short time and successfully broke through to the tribulation transcendent stage. Not only that, but I also found the demonic cultivators who stood in opposition to the righteous path. These were cultivators who had realized the existence of the weirdness and were clinging to life using their own methods. After I appeared with the legacy of the immaculate true body, I was quickly hailed as the leader of the demonic path. Thus, while training subordinates with the immaculate true body technique and using the vast resources accumulated by the demonic path to cultivate, I finally broke through to the legendary Mahayana stage. Perhaps because of the corruption of the weirdness, no cultivator in this world had ascended to immortality for tens of thousands of years. Even cultivators who could survive the lightning tribulation and break through from the tribulation transcendent stage to the Mahayana stage had never appeared. Therefore, the Mahayana stage only existed in legends. Now, possessing invincible strength, I finally returned to the sect. However, I had barely entered my cave dwelling and hadn't even warmed my seat when my second junior sister burst in without so much as a greeting. "Eldest senior brother, I heard you found the 9-yang flower during your travels," she said hurriedly. "Little junior brother's birthday is coming up soon. Why don't you give this flower to him?" Before breaking through to the Mahayana stage, I had intentionally spread false rumors to confuse people, fearing that exposing my true identity would lead the weirdness to hunt me down. Therefore, in the eyes of my fellow disciples, I, the eldest senior brother, was still only at the peak of the nascent soul stage. This 9-yang flower was a spirit medicine I had specifically sought out to facilitate my breakthrough to the soul transformation stage. Of course, the second junior sister certainly didn't want to give the little junior brother the spirit medicine to help him break through. He had only just entered the nascent soul stage not long ago and was still far from the soul transformation stage. She wanted to give the 9-yang flower, likely for its other medicinal effect, virility enhancement. I looked at second junior sister standing before me, my expression strange. Under the gaze of my eye of truth, second junior sister, who appeared to have a voluptuous and curvy figure, actually possessed a physique comparable to a tiger tank, with skin covered in toad-like pustules. I really wondered how junior brother would react if he saw her true form. I chuckled and tossed the 9-yang flower over. "Sure, it's junior brother's birthday. As a senior brother, I definitely have to show some appreciation. However, I've been quite busy lately, so I prefer you to deliver it on my behalf, junior sister. Eldest senior brother, you're so kind. Second junior sister never expected me to be so easygoing and was incredibly excited. She hurriedly took the 9-yang flower and turned to leave. I concealed my aura and quietly followed behind her. Before long, she arrived at Junior Brother's cave dwelling. Junior Brother pushed the door open, took the jade box from her, and his eyes instantly lit up when he saw what was inside. He, of course, knew the 9-yang flower's other effect. Ever since he had been haunted by the sword spirit, his body had grown weaker by the day, and he felt particularly powerless in certain areas. This 9-yang flower was a godsend. Looking at the curvaceous second senior sister before him, his atoms apple-bobbed. Senior sister. Second junior sister leaned into his arms and said coquettishly, "Little junior brother, how well does senior sister treat you? Are you really going to let me keep standing outside?" Junior brother's breathing quickened, and he immediately prepared to sweep second junior sister off his feet. But unfortunately, his body had been so depleted over the years that he couldn't even lift an ordinary person, let alone the monstrously disguised second junior sister. It was only after she secretly cast a spell that they finally managed to get into the room. The two gazed affectionately into each other's eyes, on the verge of a kiss. I snapped my fingers and forcibly activated Junior Brother's spiritual vision. Junior Brother felt the scene before him suddenly distort. Second senior sister's charming face began to warp. Dark green bumps sprouted across her fair skin. Her once slender waist grew as thick as a water barrel, and layers of flab folded over her arms. On that formerly beautiful face, her eyes were now squeezed between folds of fat, and the corners of her mouth stretched all the way back to her ears. Blur! Junior Brother couldn't hold it back and vomited directly onto second junior sister's face. "Little junior brother, what's wrong?" Second junior sister sat up, her bloated body causing the bed slats to groan under the unbearable weight. "Don't come near me!" Junior Brother shrieked, shrinking back with tears and snot smeared across his face. "Get away! Monster! You're a monster!" Second junior sister froze for a moment, then smiled. That smile looked exceptionally hideous on her face. "What nonsense are you talking about, little junior brother? How could I be a monster?" She slowly crawled off the bed, and the ground trembled with her movements. "Come, let me give you a hug. Did you have a nightmare?" "No, don't come any closer." Little junior brother scrambled backward on all fours, knocking over a chair. "Help! Help me!" The smile on second junior sister's face gradually faded. She crouched down, her thick, fleshy palm grabbing little junior brother's ankle. "Little junior brother, I've been so good to you. How could you say I'm a monster? You've truly broken my heart." With a forceful yank, she dragged him back to her side. Little junior brother struggled desperately, kicking and punching, but those attacks landed on second junior sister like they were hitting plasticine. Completely useless. "Let go of me. Let go. Be good, let me see." Second junior sister pinned him to the ground and sat her massive, bloated body directly on top of him. "No!" A blood-curdling scream echoed through the cave dwelling. My eyes were half squinted, the corner of my mouth twitching. What an eyesore. It was an absolute eyesore. Unable to watch any longer, I flicked my finger, and a bolt of sword chi shot straight out. Second junior sister's head exploded on impact, and her massive body slumped over, burying little junior brother beneath it. Second junior sister froze for a moment, then smiled. That smile looked exceptionally hideous on her face. "What nonsense are you talking about, little junior brother? How could I be a monster?" She slowly crawled off the bed, and the ground trembled with her movements. "Come, let me give you a hug. Did you have a nightmare?" "No, don't come any closer." Little junior brother scrambled backward on all fours, knocking over a chair. "Help! Help me!" The smile on second junior sister's face gradually faded. She crouched down, her thick, fleshy palm grabbing little junior brother's ankle. "Little junior brother, I've been so good to you. How could you say I'm a monster? You've truly broken my heart." With a forceful yank, she dragged him back to her side. Little junior brother struggled desperately, kicking and punching, but those attacks landed on second junior sister like they were hitting plasticine. Completely useless. Let go of me. Let go. Be good, let me see. Second junior sister pinned him to the ground and sat her massive, bloated body directly on top of him. No! A blood-curdling scream echoed through the cave dwelling. My eyes were half squinted, the corner of my mouth twitching. What an eyesore. It was an absolute eyesore. Unable to watch any longer, I flicked my finger, and a bolt of sword chi shot straight out. Second junior sister's head exploded on impact, and her massive body slumped over, burying little junior brother beneath it. Little junior brother struggled with all his might to push the corpse aside and crawl out. Looking at the grotesque corpse before him, he retched and vomited, his eyes vacant and dazed. He never expected that not only the master and the sword spirit, but even the senior sister he admired would turn out to be such a ghoulish sight. What on earth was going on? He was supposed to be the pampered darling of the sect. Why was he facing this? Just as little junior brother was questioning his very existence, I cleared my throat and pushed the door open. Seeing me, a flicker of life finally returned to his eyes. He pointed at the grotesque corpse on the ground, his voice hoarse. Eldest senior brother, look, a monster. Second senior sister is a monster. Eldest senior brother, you warned me once before. You knew, didn't you? Please save me. Please, you must save me. Eldest senior brother. I was wrong. I shouldn't have framed you. I was deceived by them. Before he could finish, he began to retch again. My expression turned cold. Little junior brother, what madness are you spouting? Where's the monstrosity? It seems I have no choice but to take you to see Master. No, I can't see Master. My junior brother shook his head in terror. She'll eat me. Senior brother, Master is one of those abominations, too. Smack! I didn't listen to his nonsense. I slapped a silencing talisman over his mouth, hoisted him up, and headed straight for Master's cave dwelling. Knocking open the gates to her abode, I threw my junior brother down before her and spoke with righteous indignation. Master, second junior sister came to request spiritual herbs today. I made a mistake and gave her the wrong ones, but when I pursued her to junior brother's cave, I found that she had been brutally murdered by his hand. Not only did junior brother kill a fellow disciple, but he even dared to slander junior sister and yourself, claiming you are both some kind of abominations. This is a grave matter. I have brought junior brother here for you to pass judgment. Master looked at the skin and bones, junior brother, her brow furrowing slightly. With a wave of her hand, the silencing talisman on his mouth was instantly dispelled. Junior, is what your senior brother said true? Junior brother's venomous gaze fell upon me. Senior brother, since you refused to save me, don't blame me for being heartless. Master, it was senior brother who killed second senior sister and tried to frame me. He murdered a fellow disciple. I beg Master to execute him as an example to the others. Did you hear that? Master slowly rose to her feet, looking at me with utter disappointment. Su Qingyun, I thought that after all these years, you would have shown some remorse. I never expected you to still be so intent on framing your junior brother. I drew my sword, looking back at her with equal disappointment. Lin Qinghan, O Lin Qinghan, out of respect for our bond as master and disciple, I originally intended to let you enjoy one last moment of intimacy with junior brother, so you could go to your grave as a ghost of pleasure. I didn't expect you to insist on doing things the hard way. Hearing this, Master's cold face instantly flushed with rage. Su Qingyun, how dare you? How dare you speak to your master in such a manner? Junior brother finally realized what was happening and roared. Senior brother, you really do know everything. You framed me on purpose. Master, kill him. You must not let him get away. As Master lunged at me with her sword drawn, I directly unleashed the aura of the Mahayana stage. Master, whose strength was only at the early stage of the tribulation transcendence realm, was instantly forced to her knees by the overwhelming pressure. The sound of her kneecaps cracking echoed through the room. Mahayana, you're actually at the Mahayana stage. Master looked up at me, her eyes filled with disbelief. She never imagined that this unremarkable disciple of hers had secretly grown to such a terrifying level. Most importantly, there wasn't a trace of an eerie aura within him. He was a true cultivator of the righteous path. Desperate, Master immediately revealed her true form. Her Taoist robes began to swell, and something beneath her skin writhed frantically, bursting through its cage of flesh. Roar! The plain white robes were shredded, fragments of fabric flying everywhere. Standing in her place was a monster nearly 30 feet tall, with a green face and fangs, 3 hideous heads, and 6 arms with knotted muscles. A thick, rancid stench filled the cavern. Yet even at full power, she could not bridge the gap between the tribulation transcendence and great perfection stages. She barely managed a single step before being pinned to the floor once more by the sheer weight of my aura. With a single sweep of my sword, one of my master's heads fell to the ground. Catching the scent of death, my master completely lost her composure. A pitiful expression appeared on her remaining 2 heads. Qingyan, I was wrong. You have always been my favorite disciple. Do eldritch beings truly deserve to die? I am willing to repent. Please, give me a chance. I patted her cheek with the flat of my blade and said coldly, Lin Qinghan, you don't realize you're wrong. You just realize you're about to die. Shua. Another strike, and her remaining 2 heads were severed cleanly from her shoulders. My junior brother, standing to the side, was dumbfounded. Watching our master's corpse collapse with a heavy thud, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. As he watched me approach with my sword in hand, his legs began to shake uncontrollably. He forced a smile that looked more painful than weeping. Big brother, I was just overwhelmed earlier. Please, don't take it to heart. Hearing this, I patted his head with a mocking smile. Junior brother, by that logic, you've been overwhelmed every single time you've seen me since the day you joined the sect. Cold sweat poured down his face. Big brother, you killed that eldritch master and saved me. I will surely repay you in the future. We're both humans. Shouldn't we help each other? Human? I looked at his emaciated, skeletal frame. I wouldn't be so sure. Haven't you already fused with my sword spirit? Doesn't that make you an eldritch horror as well? No, I can get it out. Reality finally dawned on him. He frantically tore open his robes, revealing the sword spirit growing from his flesh. He fell to his knees, tears and snot streaming down his face. Big brother, please help me get rid of this sword. I'll do anything. I'm begging you. At those words, the sword spirit that had been hiding inside him could no longer restrain itself. It burst forth, a deformed head squeezing out of his shoulder, letting out a piercing shriek. Lin Qing, what are you saying? You dare abandon me? Get away. Monster, get away from me. Terrified out of his wits, Lin Qing slapped the face hard. But since it was his own body, he immediately let out a howl of agony. Lin Qing, the sword spirit's half-face shrieked. You were the one who said you'd be good to me forever. Now you want to cast me aside. Junior brother nearly ground his teeth to dust. He glared at the eldritch sword spirit and roared. What do you mean cast aside? If I had known you were such a monstrous thing, I wouldn't have taken you even if it killed me. His eyes were bloodshot and bulging with rage. He reached back and grabbed the sword spirit's head, ignoring his palms being shredded into a bloody mess as he tried to pull it out with all his might. Man and sword spirit rolled on the ground like conjoined twins, their hands locked around each other's throats. They rolled and mauled each other like hounds, biting until flesh and blood were a mangled ruin. I stood by, watching the scene with casual interest, even cheering one of them off from time to time. Finally, the half of the body controlled by the sword spirit mutated into a blade of flesh, piercing straight through Junior Brother's head. The backlash from the master's death caused the life-bound spirit's sword to shatter instantly. The bodies of the 2 mimics stiffened simultaneously, falling to the ground and losing all signs of life. Looking at the two corpses whose eyes remained open in resentment, I couldn't help but sigh. What a pair of ill-fated lovers. Consigning the corpses to the flames, I gripped my sword and turned to leave. Next, it was time to destroy this entire eldritch world.